All right, everybody.
It's already.
Got 5:30. We will call the meeting to order, the regular board meeting, Champaign Park District. First thing we do, comments from the public. Public comments are important to the board, however, it is the board's policy not to take action on items until time has been taken to gather and evaluate information as well as to discuss available options. The absence of an immediate response does not indicate a lack of interest in the matter. During the community input portion of the agenda, the board may typically ask residents to provide input before non-residents. Purpose of public participation is to allow the public to address and inform the board. Please remember that the board has a limited time to hear from citizens while also efficiently conducting Park District business. After an individual has spoken, that individual may not address the same issue again. Any limitation about addressing the board may be waived by it. Planned agenda presentations may, within the board's discretion, exceed certain time limits. Public comments are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Persons with disabilities requiring reasonable accommodation to participate in the meeting should contact the board secretary, Marguerite Bailey, at the Park District's Bresnan Meeting Center here in this building, by phone 217-819-3853, or by email. At least 48 hours before the meeting. Requests for qualified sign language interpreters may require at least 5 business days advance notice in order to arrange an interpreter's schedule. For deaf or hearing impaired individuals, you may wish to access the Illinois Telecommunications Access Corporation 800-841-61767 or 217-698-2942 is their fax, Monday to Friday, 4:30. Or the Illinois Relay Center by dialing 711 or 800-526-0857. Thank you very much. And first up is Mr. Terry Townsend.
Okay, I just want 5 minutes getting up here. I requested a board from whoever the digital time. So 5 minutes. As I am just saying. Okay, how's everybody? I'm going to start with, I'm going to say a couple of things, and then I'll talk about the center, of course, because that's my major concern. I've been contacted by family members of Doris Cobb. Apparently Mrs. Cobb was suspended from Douglas Center. That Douglas Center, sorry, Douglas Senior Program, which is the first ever. And Beverly Upshaw, which is the president of the seniors at Douglas, she subsequently she resigned in connection with her being suspended. Said her treatment, how she was treated. There's continuous problems that are occurring at Douglas Annex, the senior programs, as you know better than I do. I'm requesting that these continuous problems be reviewed and see if we cannot resolve these things. There's a tension going on there. And I'm gonna let the seniors fight their own battle. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Champaign Event Day. Overall, it was a good weekend. The presumed gun battle was averted. Apparently, the young folks had put guns in their backpacks and were preparing to have a shootout with one of the members of the park, not your staff, went and told CPD. They subsequently contacted state police and nothing happened. The kids left. Thank you. I'm so happy about that. There are a couple of things about Champaign Event Day that I do want to say. The Sunday religious day event. I'm requesting that the Park District staff and the Stevie Days Committee be a little bit more transparent. There's some confusion about the concert. People didn't know, or they claim they didn't know, and I want to get into he said, she said. The other thing was the star entertainer which you know they make a lot of money, was paid somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000 a year. I mean, for 45 minutes, I'm sorry, I said a year, for 1 reason. Now, if at all possible, you know that when you do that at Champaign Urbana, there are people that have been out there working with Champaign Urbana as volunteers for 30 years and have not been paid. Lynn Turnbull, she comes to mind, and her talent and fashion show. What I'm requesting is that you do a couple of things. I'm requesting that you try to spread the money around to the kids. That would be a wonderful thing, I believe, to pay the kids to entertain. I'm not asking you, I'm not demanding that, I'm requesting that you consider that, because it would be a wonderful thing. Things are really hard right now. There's a lot of tension. Food stamps have been cut. I don't have to go into all the problems that are going on right now. They can use that money for sure. The transparency and the money of a religious thing, those were my two things, except for one more, hire local talent. You, like the city of Champaign, like the city of Urbana, and many other organizations, for some reason, are not putting the people in those neighborhoods on your staff. And what happens is you don't get the intelligence, you don't get the community feedback that you really need in order to make the decisions. You really, really need that. Hire local talent as well as the talent management. Now, when you go to Douglas Center, my favorite topic. All of you know that, I think it was like maybe 3 meetings ago, when one of the commissioners talked about the money, how expensive it would be to have a new center and especially tearing it down and rebuilding, which is what I said before the architect. I just want to make sure that you understand, I understand all of those things. In 1970, I was the one that went before the Champaign City Council and asked that Douglas be torn down. In 1966, Ken Stratton had, because Douglas Center was up under the city. 5 minutes already? Yeah. Should I finish?
How much longer do you have? It's fine.
A minute and a half.
Can you wrap it up?
Okay,
No.
everybody?
No.
Okay, I'll forget that history stuff. The remodel versus the rebuild proposal. Option A, that remodeling and auditing, that's the cost estimate is somewhere around 12.5 million. Option B is that's to remodel it or restore it. Option B is to, of course, tear it down and rebuild it. What I wanted to say to you, and I'll be very quick, I recommend that you apply for park grants at the state level. That we could probably get 2 to 3 million to fill that gap. If we're talking about 6.5 million, I'm prepared to ask other people, other institutions for money to help you fill that gap. I have already got commitments from at least 2 organizations. They don't want to make it public yet. But if they don't, I'm gonna hurry up and make it public. I'm gonna ask them for 2, I'm gonna ask one for 1.5 million, and the other one I'm gonna ask for 2 million. When I do that, I'd like to have your support when I do that. Now, I would like to do this under rebuilding Douglas, tearing it down and rebuilding it, as opposed to restoring it. Because that building is just gonna be very hard to make functional. But that's my help. I knew I've always said to you, I would help you, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
Yes.
If they call me here, as
Next up, Jeanette Donaldson.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Donaldson, which you just repeated. I just asked Karen to please tell me when you call my name, because for the last 3 weeks, I've had a virus that has affected my ears. I can hear the hum in my head talking. But if you're talking to me, if I can't read your lips, you can say anything about me that you want. No. Because I never hear. But anyway, I came here today because I actually had someone to fill me in on what has transpired at Douglas. I'm sure Sarah knows and she's probably told you, but I came because I wanted to relay my own experience. I haven't been back to Douglas since November of 2025. There was an issue that I did not want to get involved in. So I've been staying out of it. But anyway, but let me tell you what happened before that. I had gone to a meeting, probably the meeting before November. And I'd stayed after the meeting, just talking to people. We were just catching up on things. And one of the seniors asked a question of the assistant. And do you need me to name names? Yeah. Do you want to know who the assistant was? Or does it matter? Okay.
Leave that up to you.
But anyway, the lady asked a question. She said she only wanted to know about the what's that thing? The pool, what's it called? When you shoot pool on it?
What's it from?
When you shoot pool, what's that big thing?
Pool table.
Anyway, she wanted to know if that was still being used by the people sewing, because they would put their fabric on there and they would actually cut out whatever they needed to cut out. Well, one of the members asked the assistant, she said, are they still going to use that to lay up their fabric? And the assistant says, I'm not talking to you. That's how she said it. I was there, I promise. She says, I'm not talking to you. And that was when Anna was still there. And Anna came to the rescue. She answered the question. And so that was the end of that, except the assistant was still huffing and puffing and picking. So that's all that I had to say about that, because I have actually experienced. Now I want to tell you about my experience. If you're asking,
your
but
3
you got
minutes.
to ask somebody, or you got to come here and ask.
Your 3 minutes have expired. Can you wrap it up quickly?
She can't hear you.
Yeah.
She said your time is expired.
My time was expired.
Yeah.
My time never expired before. So can I have another minute?
Can you wrap it up as quickly as you can?
Okay.
You gotta hurry up.
Okay, on November, it was the third Thursday of the month. That's when we have our planning meetings. I had gone to a planning meeting. And Anna says, our topic today is we need $100,000 so you guys can actually go from one place to the other. And you're gonna have to support it. I didn't ask the question because I don't want to be involved in that. So there were people asking questions, and she said, the way that we can do this, we're gonna have what we call, she didn't say a garage sale. She came up with a name that we had never heard of. And the African American people there, we'd never heard of this. But the people from Hayes, they knew exactly what she was talking about. So we just kind of tabled that and forgot about that. But also what happened, Anna had brought a project where you would actually, she had talked to business people in the community, but they were all white. And I said to Anna, I said, there are other people in the communities that look just like me. Would you like to know who they are? So you can so they can participate. And she never said yes or no, but the lady across from me was from Hayes, and this is what she said. She said, I'm white. I had no idea what she meant, but I didn't address that. The only thing that I said to her was, I walk in faith. I'm not gonna deal with that, so I'm gonna go on. Well, the meeting kept going, Anna kept talking. This lady kept sneering at me, and she was sneering at someone else. And when I turned around to look, it was the assistant. It was Megan. Megan was the one that was sneering and edging this lady on. They were edging each other on. That's what I experienced. And I'm sure that Dolores experienced the same thing.
Okay,
It
thank you.
was unnecessary. And Karen was, I can't hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
I've got Muriel Jones.
Thank you.
Mine's quick. I just want to say thank you, kudos for seeing you there in the park this past weekend. Saturday, when I wasn't there Friday, but Saturday was like absolutely fun. So thank you for putting it back in the park. The organizations that were there had room to spread out. They had room for people to sit in the back and relax and support the giveaways. People actually had a chance to stop and talk, and you could share with them about your organizations. So thank you so much. Hopefully it continues for next year and then we're back in the park again. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comment? Okay,
So
we will move on. Next item, I don't see a communications folder. Okay. Then we go to the treasurer's report. And Donna? Unmute, Donna.
Yes, everybody should have received a copy of the treasurer's report for the month ending July 31st. A couple of items to note, we had several CDs that matured, and we were lucky enough to get a slightly higher interest rate on renewals of items into U.S. Treasuries and I believe iPrime. Getting us into the 4% range versus the 3% range. Other than that, I don't have anything else unusual or receipts other than just everyday operations. Any questions?
I move to accept the training.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Executive director's report.
Yes, good
Yeah.
evening. Apologize for my tardiness.
It's okay.
All right, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. weather permitting. There's still some weather in the forecast, but we're gonna cut a ribbon at Garden Hills Park on the new playground. Hopefully some of you can join us for that. Then on Friday this week, we actually have a couple things going on, but the most important I'd say is the Flamazing Race is on Friday night, 5 p.m. at Sholem Aquatic Center, and we're gonna throw those flamingos down the slide, and there's lots of great prizes available. This is a CUSR fundraiser, raising funds for scholarships specifically for CUSR, and we're excited to bring it back this year. Next week we've got a Jazz in the Park scheduled on the 20th. And then also next week we have the Iliac at Hessel Park. You should have received an email with some VIP tickets available. The RSVP for those is due this week on Friday. If you need the email resent, let me know. It takes you to an external website to redeem those tickets. August 25th starts election packet pickup for anyone who's interested in a a board seat and running for office. And then also August 25th is the first day that petition collection can begin. Just a note that we're gonna move forward with putting the financial reports into the board SharePoint. So when you receive the packet on Fridays with the link to the board packet, the treasurer's report will also be in there, as well as the invoice register. So that if you ever want to go back and review, they'll be in the folder for you. And for us, because we typically have to search through email to find those things. We are planning a training for staff in September on IMRF, all things IMRF, and info for staff. We haven't done a training like that since I've been here, so I'm hoping there's some good information to share about IMRF and this incredible benefit that our full-time staff and then some of our part-time staff have available to them. Ties and Tennies is just a reminder, it's on September 10th. I'm sure Jared is going to echo this as well in his report, but last call for silent auction items for that. And I appreciate Muriel's comments about Champaign Urbana Days this past weekend. It was nicely attended all 3 days, and just a really nice couple days. I think that's all. Registration for September and October programming is opening soon. And we have a bunch of new programming. We have some adults. We have adult recess. It's weekly at Leonard. There's a variety of different games and activities, kickball, I think cornhole, and you can sign up for the whole session, or you can just come and drop in to the individual activity. We're also launching a flag football league for youth. It kind of piggybacks the YMCA's flag football, and then is in a season that doesn't directly overlap with that. So we're hoping to get some good interest from that. And okay, now I'm done.
Question. Can we put signage in Leonard and Douglas and in all the facilities saying when those are opening? Just a physical poster.
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So that they know when to go with the internet and sign up.
Or while they're there, they can sign up with a human or at the kiosk.
That would be great.
So flag football youth or youth and grown up?
Youth.
So-
I think there's adult interest.
I know you. Simon.
But you've signed up?
Really?
Okay.
Do you think there'd be adult interest?
Oh, adult, probably.
Yeah.
My kids are doing it. So is.
Okay. Maybe not for this fall.
I'd like to keep my mushrooms. I won't be.
So Friday, you prefer we attend the Flamazing
I
race
forgot one more thing. There's more.
over the other Friday event, which is, I want to hear you pronounce the name of the park.
Stamfosky.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to get clarification from Christina on when we are launching the flamingos, because I was going to try to do them both. But yes, there is a ribbon cutting for the beautiful sculpture at Stamfosky Park, right downtown, and that's at 5 o'clock, 5 to 5:15. That was a sculpture created by Greg Stallmeyer and the YES program students, and it's pretty cool. I did forget one more thing. I apologize. August 21st is the new date of the Hedge Park ribbon cutting. I will follow up with it in an email. August 21st, and they have moved the date or the time to 4:30 to 6:30.
Excellent. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Committee and liaison reports, Champaign Parks Foundation. Sure.
Good evening, commissioners. As Sarah already referenced, it's all ties and tennies all the time. So thank you for your support, both in helping with the silent auction baskets, as well as purchasing tickets. Very much appreciated. Just by the numbers, we've exceeded sponsorship goal for last year. So we're well over 56,000 total for sponsorships. Kathy Rector has prepared 60 baskets for sale in silent auction. And I think based on some of the numbers that have come in recently, we've reached around 175 tickets sold. So 300 was the amount that we had last year, and we expect to sell out again. But again, we would appreciate you sharing with your friends and making the final push to help us get there. So thank you again for your support there.
Okay. Thank you.
In addition to that, I have one more thing to
Okay.
share that we
All right.
kind of discussed at the meeting as well, but the foundation board approved recently a significant donation from the Dodds family, as led by Jason Dodds, for $200,000. And the goal of the family is an admirable one. They desire to create $1 million endowment for the foundation with that seed money. So that was approved. The agreement was approved at the foundation meeting, and they are in progress of planning to figure out what are the next steps to try and achieve that goal.
Excellent. Well, good news. Report of officers. Attorney's report, Guy.
Yes, well, we have a number of things that we covered that are on the list of things for approval and review this evening. Just doing the routine matters, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Guy?
Happy belated birthday, guy.
Thank you,
Should we sing?
yeah. Sure, why not?
Happy birthday to you. Okay. Let's stop there. President's report. I always forget to prepare anything for this, but I'll just say, I don't know what you guys' landmark is, but school starts tomorrow, right, locally, so I guess congratulations to staff on another wonderful summer for the Champaign Park District. Obviously, you know, you maybe mark it with Labor Day or October something, I don't know, but this would seem to be a landmark, so again, great summer for everyone, I think. I'm glad your CU days went off well. I appreciate Muriel's making your comments there. And that's it. Okay, we'll move on. Consent agenda. All items appearing below are considered routine by the board and shall be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired, that item shall be removed and discussed separately. Is there any items that anyone wants to pull or discuss?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. New business. First up, approval of disbursements, and on this item, I think we have a change on the agenda. The dates, if you can look at those, I think were carried over maybe from last year. Should be July 9th, 2026 through August 12th, 2026. So just make sure we have that recorded in the minutes. Staff recommends approval of the list of disbursements for the period beginning, as I mentioned, July 9th through August 12th, 2026. Any discussion on any of those? I think we had some questions go out. I think you supplied answers to those this afternoon, so.
We're still after 3:30.
No, it's like before noon.
11:50.
Before noon.
Look at this guy.
We can go on, but that's okay. Check twice. Any
Okay. We,
Move approval of the disbursements.
second?
okay, and we need a roll call vote on that.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Rouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Solon,
Yes.
Commissioner Summers,
Yes.
Commissioner Cool.
Yes.
5-0.
Second item, approval of a budget amendment to the capital improvement fund related to carry forward of the 25-26 vehicle replacement funds.
So this is the budget amendment to account for vehicles that were
ordered in 2025, November 25, but they were not delivered until the current year. They were not included in our capital roll forward because we were hoping that we would receive them before the new fiscal year started. So this would just be increasing the capital improvement fund specifically for the purchase of those 2 vehicles. And then, as a reminder, the board always adopts appropriations 10% above the working budget. So this would just be allocating a portion of that towards purchase.
Questions, discussion for Courtney on vehicles in the budget?
Is there any explanation on the plan?
No, they couldn't give me anything other than it's a Ford factory thing. So I kept asking and asking and asking. So.
Is this pretty common with a company that we go through to purchase these?
Yeah, it was very common in COVID and then it got better and then it has, for whatever reason, again, I think it's a Ford thing. I don't know if like the government fleet vehicles gets kind of pushed off the line further is sort of what I gathered from it. I wish I had more information for you and I just, when I ordered them in November, I was told I would have them before April 30. And
So would it be worth going to the local dealer and trying and developing a relationship with them to try to get this if?
it very well could be. I mean, I don't know, but.
I mean, I think the commissioners at times have thought that it would be nice to buy locally if possible.
Sure.
And if they're not delivered on time, can we cancel the order without a cost to us?
I'd have to
We'll
look
find
at-
that out first.
Anything further? Not,
So moved.
Second.
first and second, all in favor, say aye.
And we need a roll, it says we need a roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Roll call.
It's money. Yes. Commissioner Cool,
Yes.
Commissioner Summers,
Yes,
Commissioner Solon,
Yes,
Commissioner Rouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Okay, next up, approval of professional services agreement with Farnsworth Group for Champaign Urbana Special Rec Three-Season Pavilion Design.
Yes, there's a proposal before you, requesting approval for Farnsworth to design a 3-season space for CUSR. This is utilizing the $300,000 coming from Senator Paul Faraci through DCEO. And happy to answer any questions. Design would take place now. Construction would occur after the OSLAD project is completely done.
So I had asked a question about this and the amount and I'm trying to go back to it because you said it was on one page,
4.
but it was a different
And then-
amount than I found in the cost thing.
Correct. There
Why is that?
is this cost opinion, it says 26,028, but then they're in the proposal is 25,500.
Yeah, so initially, the cost was, when they first sent it to us, was 26,000, a little bit over. And Brett Johnson and the planning crew reviewed the agreement, asked them to make some changes, and the updated price is 25,500 is what the final was based on those reductions they requested. So apparently they just overlooked and missed that.
So will we have them change that amount in the cost opinion before we sign the document?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think the cost opinion will get updated regardless after the fact, so that, you know what I mean?
Okay.
This is just their services, so as they get into more of the actual design of it, so.
But their costs won't go up.
No.
Okay.
No,
Well, let's just match those numbers up so that
Yep.
if you go back and look at something, it's
yep, for sure.
one and the same. Thank you.
Mhm.
Move approval.
second.
One
Oh.
question, that's fine. One more question, is this specific, are these dollars specifically assigned or specifically for this project, or is it a block grant, so to speak?
They have to be used for infrastructure improvements. That was the stipulation.
And this was the best project that staff came up with? Okay.
For 300,000.
Okay.
There were, we discussed, we discussed other options, but
Okay.
this is what the best that we thought we could do with just spending these funds.
Okay. Be nice to see the other options, but that's okay.
I had a motion. Did I have a second?
Yep.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Next item, approval of agreement with Blast It Clean for Shoal Aquatic Center epoxy repairs.
Yeah, so this is good evening. This is basically we are due for completely blasting off the old coatings on all our pools. So in the past, we have done some in-house. Our last major doing of this with just some localized grinding of the areas was in 2015. And so since then, we've, again, like I said, kind of done some in-house and kind of banding, so to speak. So this is a full-on stripping of those coatings so that we can get down to a concrete profile that will accept the epoxy and last another long time. So
And then who will be putting the epoxy on?
this company, that's part of the scope.
That's.
Yep. There is some minor concrete damage that we need repaired. That's what that alternate is for those repairs as we kind of get through, get that old material off. Some of the joints in the river, they'll rake out all the old sealant, put new sealant, that sort of thing. So.
And will this all be done in the fall?
Yep, that's our hope.
And is there
No, it
anything in
has
the
to be.
contract if they don't complete the job that?
Before we can get ready so we're on time for getting ready.
Yeah.
So there's a substantial completion date in the contract, yes. So
But is there any consequence if they don't make the completion date?
I would have to confirm that.
I don't think we have a liquidation clause in there, that's grass.
Yes.
Well, this is a pretty big project and pretty important that it gets done. So if,
Well,
what happens if they say, okay, well, we just can't get it done?
well, I mean, I think that if you want to add a liquidated damage clause, we can do that.
We do have a short time in the spring too. It's not what I want to, certainly don't want
Because
to
that's
carry it
gonna
into.
push you
Like it, right,
at that point in time.
but I guess I'm confident that it can get done. So
Yeah, did the bid include a number, like the days of completion that they estimate they need?
no, I don't believe so. We just put an end date on it to try and hit that pot line, that timing on the coating. So.
Good point, Barb. Any other discussion on that? If not, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item, approval of the open space land acquisition and development grant application.
So at the last board meeting, we discussed that OSLAD applications are open. They're due at the end of this month. We presented 3 project options, Eisner Park, Dodds Park, and Heritage Park. And there was appetite to explore Eisner and Heritage a little bit further. Andrew put together a couple rough drawings and cost opinions of if we were to apply for the grant and just do the match with a $1.2 million project. Here's what we estimate we could accomplish at each of those sites. Since that time, Andrew has also announced that he is moving on from the Park District, and he has been a critical component of every OSLAD grant that we have applied for and received in his time with the district. So with that, news and knowing that, well, his last day is on Friday. We are recommending that we apply for the Heritage Park project. We feel like we have more information already needed for that application because there's a plan that's already been created with phasing. There's already been some community input that's happened, which is a pretty important piece of a OSLAD application, that there's community input, which we were originally planning to get between now and the 31st if you all had decided on Eisner. But we feel like Heritage is a good project. It's a strong application. And so we're recommending that, or we're seeking your approval to apply for the OSLAD grant for the Heritage Park project.
So on the drawing past the purple area, what is the purple area?
It's a playground. It's a nature-based playground.
Okay, and the green with the orange things are.
The parking and drop off perhaps?
No,
No.
it's a path.
Oh, the bridge over the
Bridge.
Over what?
the copper slough.
In the purple area, it's where the playground.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Going through the playground.
Sorry.
At first,
I think it's like a walkway.
with the orange stuff is. I don't understand the drawing, why it looks nice, I don't understand what it is, so, but.
I don't really know what those are. I mean, it's just a kind of concept drawing. In the little pictures they have, it shows like a bridged archway structure, so perhaps that's
Playground.
right.
Okay.
So
New pedestrian bridge, 290,000, I'm guessing what that says.
I think it
I think
maybe.
that's-
Oh, yeah, there's like a
these components
rock
that-
structure.
Very
Yeah.
good picture for.
No,
Right.
it's a pedestrian bridge, is
Jimmy,
just-
you're gonna. Part of this.
Yeah, it would, so the nature playground might have some structures that would have elevated items that would then have
Okay,
connections.
and it's, okay, then the path is gonna go all the way down to.
Mhm.
It's only the color.
It's only the colored portion, yeah.
The borrow,
Yeah.
yes.
So what is this up in here?
Parking. Parking and like a circle drive kind of to get in and out.
So what is, so, okay.
Instead of the minute little square that we park in now. The only problem I have with doing Heritage is that we have a silt problem that comes in from the drainage district that we've tried to deal with the city on for several years. And that Heritage, the more money you spend, we still have the silt building up, and so eventually, I mean, it used to be 20 feet deep and now it's 12 feet deep. So at what point do we address that instead of having a mud hole, I guess is what I'm saying. And so that's the only problem I have. I like that we're gonna have more usage with more parking and availability and a turnaround, but we're not addressing the problem part. It's my one concern.
I agree about facility, and like I said, it's kind of just like. Borrow pit that's been filled in.
Well, the city has they have the drainage district and all of that stuff that comes from Parkland Ridge goes through that one.
Correct.
And they won't address it, and I've had a chat with the mayor on more than one occasion with that in previous years, and. So this is nice, but it doesn't address part of the problem with the park. This addresses one problem in that it encourages more usage, and because when I sent in, I said, without doing this, Heritage doesn't have usage versus Eisner, but I'm fine with it. But we need to address the silt problem at some point, otherwise we just have a mud hole. And in the last 20 years, it's gone from 20 feet to 12 feet. And 12 feet is generous in some spots.
Yeah, I think when the last time you did the work, some were only like 5 or 6.
Yes. Yeah. And it's unfortunately to cure the silt. The city has to take that drainage area and that one pit in which they won't address and divert that water, and then it's a $3 million, it used to be $3 million to go in and excavate all of the sludge, set it out on our property to let it air out and dry out for the, because of the chemical stuff, and then haul it away, so. Have at it, yes. But that's my concern with putting this kind of money in this park, knowing that in X, whatever that is, and it's sooner rather than later.
And Craig, if you had to do that, wouldn't this be the access to get to that? No, I mean to get the silt out.
No, actually, you have to take the silt and you have to go through the parking lot or over that bridge, because
Well, that's what Barb means.
Yeah, so
This area we're gonna do is what was needed to get into the heritage and get the stuff out.
you're gonna have to go through the parking lot, so
Yes.
it may or may not damage it.
Well,
It's
but
my
it-
concern,
this-
'cause
the way
you're
it's-
going to have to bring in a barge with actual cranes or excavating
You
material.
have to haul it out. The
And
way-
you gotta haul it out, but you also have to air it out for at least a year.
But it
approximately.
will, the weight of it will.
Yeah, the way that in.
And the
Coming
design
forward,
of this
it's just gonna-
driveway
is
would not be conducive to doing that project.
correct.
I do think there's some ways that we could go around that parking lot to the east side if we needed with
Well, that's, yeah,
trucking.
that's the only area we have
Correct,
to
correct.
use that mound of, that many tons of excavated material.
But to the east side, you already have the path there. There's.
We own
You
some,
have to-
we own some of that land, that's the land that is available to air that.
But to get
So-
it in and out, you'd have to either move the new parking and the thing over a little bit to the west.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. This is just an image. This is just a drawing.
Okay.
But that can be shifted over and there's.
But all of that should be kept in mind.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to do that
Great
project,
point.
that's
Totally
great, but you need to have that in mind. Because.
Right.
I would guess within the next 10 years or less. You're gonna have to address the silt problem. And so the concept is fine, it just has to be, as Jane said, you have to leave movement area. And understand that you're gonna have a barge and crane and heavy equipment to do this project.
The other thing that when we put this parking lot in originally, we talked about not putting concrete in, just like we did in a lot of other places because of the number.
Split fee that we have.
Yeah, and fact that it's, you know, ecologically, I don't think it's,
It causes more runoff.
yeah. So now we're taking this and, I mean, I've been to Heritage Park and parked there and gone for a walk with the geese. And, you know, it's, I personally don't mind the parking lot that's there, but I just think we're covering a lot of space with concrete anymore. And there was
I
a,
think since this is kind of a nature park, it's not really good having the more natural parking lot is good as well. Without the concrete, but with the gravel the way it is now. That's just.
I think there are alternate options we can talk about and figure out during the design process. That this still needs to be designed.
Let's get the grant, but we have to keep all of that
Right.
in mind, because otherwise you were throwing good money after bad.
Yeah, and to your point on the stormwater, just so I just looked quickly on this year's fees and I did a comparable to the size of what that lot may be, if it was the same footprint, and it's like $220 a year
right,
to the city. So just FYI,
Right, but-
and then we get some credits and stuff if there's bioswales and stuff to catch some runoff
Sure.
and some native plantings and stuff like that. So
That's what it is today, every 2
I-
years it goes up.
You're-
And the other thing is, we know with these grants, if you put it in the application, if you put an element in there, it's got to be in the final thing, so.
Yeah.
You know, if you put in a concrete parking lot, does that mean it has to be, or can you just? I don't know, that's why we bring these things up now rather than, because there's been several times we've gotten kind of stuck with,
Married to, yeah.
yeah, so. I think these are all good questions and things to be considered.
Which speaks to my question of the cost component of 1.2, how recent? I mean, is this just kind of a ballpark figure? I mean, if we're talking about changing things like that, that significantly changes the overall cost potentially of this.
Yeah, I mean, these are fairly rough numbers, right? It had, you know, it hasn't been, again, engineered or designed, so it's our best shot at what we think it.
Tyler, we can't ask for 1.2 million. And if we don't use it, we can give it back because we have done that before too.
Give it back, yeah.
Yeah,
And there are modifications that can be done, obviously.
Sure.
Left parking spots a little bit different zone, and we're gonna move it anyway, so. You might as well go for the grant, because there's nothing guaranteeing we're gonna get the grant, and then use all of those things in mind when we get it. And by then we'll have a different planner, so.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, I just don't want like this hanging thing that's out there is driving some decision just because there's a $600,000
And
grant available, so like, let's come up with something that may in turn cost us, you know,
this is
$1 million more.
one of the grants that if we decide we don't want it and give it back, we're penalized and not able to.
Oh, like if we got
Yeah.
the award and then we
Yeah,
said,
we said, no,
never
we're
mind."
not.
I mean, I think, yeah, it's a lot of work for a lot of people. Review, you know, to come back and say no thanks.
They don't look favorable in the next
Well, you know,
application.
one time we went ahead with the project because we didn't want to get blackballed from the next site.
Exactly, they don't look kindly on your next.
but again, you don't have to spend all the money either.
Right.
So
Right.
we do know that one works. We've
Yeah.
done that.
You can give some back. No problem. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Last item on here, new item is approval of memorandum of understanding for Zon Park Pond expansion.
Yes. It's been a bit of discussion about this MOU. And so I was hoping today that we could maybe discuss the concerns that have been addressed. It sounds like we have had previous consensus, maybe, or that you all are in favor of this bigger picture of this idea, this plan, but that there are some details that we need to discuss. Is that
Yes.
accurate? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So the version of the MOU that was included in the packet struck out basically everything past like bullet point or number 1 point, or starting with 2 basically. But I think you brought up a good point, Barb, that you know we don't want to stray too far away from this.
I have a question first, because I asked, we all know there was a comment made about the paths, trails, whatever we want, however we want to term it, in Fields East. And so today, and Craig, I'm sorry you didn't get that, because today she attached the 2 documents. And after having read them, I'm still not sure who owns the sidewalks at Fields East.
Carl.
Okay, well, it appeared to me that Carl might have given them to the city, and so the city put those sidewalks in.
No, the
No.
city.
With the development agreement, the developer is required to put in so many feet of paths and sidewalk. The city always tells the developer, well, the park district will take them when you're done, because if you recall, the one group that they wanted us to take, we did not take up by Town Square.
Yes, I remember
We
that
told
one.
them, you know, like,
Okay, so let's stay on that path. So if you look at these documents, then it's divided into A and B and C and D, and one of them says that C through D or something is ours,
It's our responsibility to maintain.
We have a maintenance.
just to maintain.
Yeah, that
Why, I wonder why we are supposed to just maintain one little element of this path.
that is how the IGA with the city was written, and so then when it transferred over to a agreement between us and Carl, those letters just basically carried over.
It's very odd when you really look at it. So
I never saw the document either.
it was attached to the updates today.
Particularly when you have the annexed portion. I'm gonna try to get this right. We're paying.
In the city
The
agreement.
unannexed portion, they're paying us. But then there's this broader prior agreement between Brown and Woods for 11,000. I couldn't keep track of who's paying what for what, who's annexed. It was very confusing.
There's a portion that is not annexed yet.
Yes.
It's part of the development because they couldn't get all of the property owners to agree to be part of the city.
Which is,
So if it isn't a part of the city, it can't, Park District shouldn't have anything to do with it.
I don't know.
So the MOU up for proposal is
Yeah.
to expand the pond at Zond.
Right.
And currently the pond is on, it was constructed in 1998, it's part of an OSLAD. And it is solely used by us for park needs right now. The partnership to expand it, the Y needs it right now for their building expansion. Our consideration would be for any future development that would be at Zon Park or at the new parcel on the corner. And the volume totals, the fairground utilized the concept plan that Framework had put together and just made an assumption that if we were to do all of the phases at some point, that this is the volume that would be needed for that. Carl is also taking into account or wanting to participate in this for future plans that are not yet developed yet. I got confirmation from Nick that they don't have anything specific of what they're going to do with those parcels, but they see this as an opportunity to to take advantage now at 2026 costs to participate for their future, whatever they decide to do with those parcels.
So a couple of questions that I've not put in here. So 15 years down the road, say what's going to be done, this doesn't meet the capacity. Is there some room to enlarge this if need be, or is this and somebody's just gonna have to go put some more detention on their own property? And how do we determine who's used how many whatever of this detention, the capacity?
I think there's, they would probably do the same kind of volume calculations that they did to get to these estimates.
I mean, they didn't do a little wiggle room or anything. This is just to meet what everyone anticipated building.
Well, I mean, I don't know, I think that the the three phases of the framework concept are pretty robust. So,
Okay.
I mean, if it was something different,
Just.
but I don't, yeah, I mean,
You know, I don't know, did Carl say this is so many, linear feet of concrete, like the,
mhm,
this that we anticipated?
mhm. I feel like maybe
I mean,
it
the
could be
one
expanded,
house-
but also,
one
yeah,
house
maybe there would
originally.
be a need for more detention somewhere else.
Let me ask Mr. Hall, if Carl desires to, he has some reference to this, desires to put up other buildings, medical facilities, obviously, they have to go through a state process, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Health
they-
facilities planning board.
Correct, and they have to get approval from the state
Right.
to do X, whatever that X is. And to your knowledge, they have not done that yet.
To my knowledge, they have.
Do not, yes. Bottom line is that you get a permit to build anything, and the last time I looked or heard that on property that's on the other side of this development is, in theory, might be a new hospital, but that's years down the road. So if they were going to put items on and need detention, they're still at least 5 years out without any blank before that's the process. It's at least a 2 or 3 year process to get permitted, correct? To the state.
Probably so, but also, I mean, the city itself is gonna, evaluate whether this, let's just assume for the sake of argument that it's expanded, whether that meets the detention needs
Right.
as well. So the city's not gonna say, oh, well, you did this in 2027. It's not adequate, but I guess we'll just let you go. That they're gonna say, well, you gotta dig a hole somewhere else.
Right. What we have to decide whether is we want to be a good partner with the Y, and while we're doing it, create detention for anything that we might, Park District, on that parcel and or the new parcel do. And so that's what we need to reference right now, and I wouldn't worry per se about Carl at the moment. We need to look at what the Park District's gonna need in the future, no matter what we do on the new zone as well as the old zone, if you will, and be a good partner with the law. So I would be in favor of this. I'm not a big fan of Carl, but I'm a big favor of this to be fine.
If I may, just the other thing is that if you have, particular issues or things you want to have investigated or answers to, this is a non-binding agreement. So, it's just let's get this issue on the table and evaluate these various things. And if there are things that you say, well, gee, we want to know this, we want to know that, by all means, they're amenable to looking at those particular issues and seeing if they're.
Yeah, this just starts the process.
Reading with it, it's just some
Yeah.
particulars.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how $10,000 was attributed to, we pay the first 10,000 on maintenance and then everybody chips in after that. Like,
Well, this is just an agreement to start the process. I agree with you that number is BS, but.
And we can,
And we.
They were
we need to start the
amenable to
process
doing that.
And have a framework and then go back and say, okay, we'll take the first 2,000, not the first 10, that type of thing. But we need to see who all the players are first, and who wants to willing to be in the room
I
and.
mean, if we can agree to that number now, it makes it much easier.
Well,
absolutely.
I personally was like, well, how do they arrive at 10,000? Well, we can ask, that's part of it.
Well, I mean, I think they just put a number out of the sky, to be honest, so.
I think they did that for a lot of these
Well, you
numbers.
see, they're looking out for their own best interest.
Who say are.
Well, I was, to hear that we've spent no capital money on the existing pond since it was was, I don't know, comforting for me today to, you know, I think also both the Y and Carl have said that they're agreeable to lowering that threshold. So if you all wanted to,
They just wanna know, we just wanna know who's in the room, and I think this starts at next.
well, it's us and Carl and the YMCA.
Right.
We know who's in the room.
We know who's in the
We
room.
know who's in the room from the very get-go.
Right.
But there were a few comments made at the last presentation that would
Yeah,
kind of sour how you felt about these, maybe how some of these numbers came about. So,
Well, the volume totals and the numbers in the charts
And
are
hopefully they were.
from Fair
calculated by
Graham
the
and
engineer.
yes, calculated by the
Yeah.
engineers. But
given information from other people. And you had a question, Mike,
no,
about,
through the
the
volumes, through the volumes that are.
Well, but
current
ours-
and the.
you know, for our future, we have no idea what we're gonna do with the Zon property. So that number has been a plugged figure.
Well, same with the Carl numbers, the 52%.
But I think what was presented to us with the parking lots and then you have a facility, a rental facility and such. You have a good idea of kind of the amount of impermeable surface that's gonna be there that's needed. That we have to provide attention.
Project is nothing but a dream right now.
The numbers that are in question,
It
seem-
may be just like it is now for 10 years and it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
the numbers that seem to be in question would be the maintenance threshold at $10,000. The, I think there was consideration for, the loss of, park land that will be now potentially underwater. And then I think the other part was the fill dirt that the Y is taking away. And Carl, I think, was getting a 13% of the discount from that, and we were only getting 5%. And I don't know, I don't think that came from the engineers. Or if it did, I'd like to see what the math was behind that. What
Because
they done.
it's our dirt.
That's what I said. It's our turn.
Correct, and where's 13 and 5, where's the division come from? So I think those are the numbers that Barb may be referring to as far as. No, I don't question the engineers on the volume of the water, and I'm fine with the ongoing maintenance percentages. But I think maybe just a little bit of where those numbers came from and make sure it's a fair agreement for all parties.
I did ask about the fill, and I didn't really. It came from. It came from Board Russo.
okay.
That's what I got.
So all we have to do is ask, how is that number calculated? How did that?
Yeah, Jeff
Because
said he
it
was gonna
is-
ask
it
them.
is-
Just got-
It is our property that's,
And it might be justified, and that's fine.
yeah,
But I would just like to see that math behind it, I guess. If it's, it's a non-binding agreement,
Yeah, if you wanna, and you just gonna do what Jason.
We're all in favor.
2,000 and just see who balks, fine.
I still think, I think we could approve in concept. I think it'd be important to perhaps get a little bit more of these 3 questions that you asked just on the table, because
Sooner rather than later.
yeah, you don't wanna be the bad guy in all of this, because the Y cannot move forward
Yeah.
without getting this.
Without drainage, they can't.
Yeah.
Can't really.
So I heard you say 2,000. I think I've also
think
heard
that's-
3,000,
Yeah, I mean-
5,000.
Just throw out a number that,
I think that's fine, 2,000 for the maintenance threshold. Again, I don't, on the breakdown of the.
Are you,
Fill dirt. It might be equitable, I just wanna see the math on it, but if it is,
so that can fill and what else?
and then the loss of park space.
Right.
From the expansion of the basement.
I have brought that up and I think the consideration of that I don't know that there was any willingness to, I think there's a feeling that it's already been taken into account with the percentage distribution.
I think if we ask that question, then, and I think they should reply in writing to these 3 questions, and then you've got it.
Would that ultimate, I mean, would an answer change your mind about moving forward?
What is the point of signing this non-binding agreement if we're just gonna go back and forth doing what we're doing?
Well, it's to outline the issues that you want to address in the development.
And it gives,
Why don't we
it
just-
gives permission to, that's what it is.
Why do we have to go through this exercise?
Because they,
This is the way it was presented to us, and you often get that kind of process in these kinds of things where you know, outline, what's the framework?
The government.
What's the framework for?
But we're the government, we're the government entity. Just
We
go
don't,
back and
we
forth.
traditionally, we have not taken a position of dictating it.
so the Y needs
Let's dictate it.
the Y needs some sort of approval to move forward to design this and to develop construction documents. But they're designing it based off of some of the assumptions that are in this MOU.
And here's my
you know, go to
position is I
bid
don't
for
like
that.
signing something and saying, yeah, we'll continue to discuss this and then go back later and be like, we're out. So why don't we
Agreed.
just go ahead and don't get this false premise that we're gonna do it.
I'm in
Just
agreement.
this circle is just ask them. And I think I think we would be extremely short-sighted if we said, no, we're out, because as I've said multiple times, every single project we talk about out there, this drainage comes in. So we would kick ourselves, I think, 5, 10, whatever, how many years it is down the road if we don't do that. Now, I also said the initial cost to us was higher than what I had thought, but if we were gonna do this on our own down the road, it's gonna be 10x.
3 times as much.
Yeah, who knows? So
So,
I mean, at the same token, we've got all the leverage, because if that pond's not there, they're not coming to us asking any questions, they're doing it themselves.
Mhm.
But the fact that we do, consideration, okay, they've accounted for some of that. And then that's when I said the cost of the sidewalks that was put in by, I don't know how legitimate those expenses are. So it's just this constant back and forth. I could keep landing where I am to go back to them and say, well, let's iron this out, then we'll continue the discussion if we get comfortable with it, a little bit more concrete than what we've got now.
So do you want to table it and request those answers to those questions?
But what I recognize that there's some questions on the table. They've already communicated willingness to lower the maintenance threshold. I'm waiting on an answer back about the fill. I've already asked that question. And they kind of have answered about the consideration for the parcel. So what additional, I mean, are you proposing that we go back and we look closer at the percentages, or what do we need to hammer out?
At least 2 of those questions, Sarah, really have not been answered. To say that Roar and Russo figured out the percentages. Great, how did they figure them out? Give us the information. There's such a thing as transparency here. Tell us, how were they calculated? And the same for the fill. How was that percentage calculated?
And the $10,000, was that just a throw-in number, or is it based off of X?
Let's agree that we have, you know, we're gonna change that maintenance threshold.
I think that's.
$2,000, okay, fine.
that's,
Next item, I guess, would be, how strongly do we feel about, I mean, I kind of felt strongly about it. About the loss of parkland, that we should have some consideration for that. Is there a strong feeling from others on that? Was that just me? And, you know, granted,
I guess I'd like to know what's the dollar value of the land that we, first of all,
Yeah, we're giving up property.
are we giving up a quarter of an acre at, 20,000 an acre, or is it an acre at, I don't know.
do we know the answer to that?
It's more than one.
You want to be appraised?
Well, they should have a rough idea what, it's.
Well, Yeah, I understand that they probably have some rough idea, but. Would
We
you
pay
want
$200,000 an acre, so,
Right.
give or take, so we know what an acre costs.
Yeah, if you're basing it on,
Not that big deal.
Zon,
And that was the
Not
result,
that big a deal.
and we got a deal.
Right.
And what was,
That's
originally
corn.
proposed.
A little bit.
well, there should, I mean, that sets your market and you're saying, well, you know, it's a quarter of an acre. And it's $200,000 an acre, so here's our calculation. We can skip this whole thing and say, the idea has some value to it, let's work on just going to a development agreement with them, and, you know, you go back to many of the things that were stricken from this, say, we'll work towards that, these are our concerns, and we need to address, you know, at least half dozen issues, whatever they may be. What are your calculations of these, how did you arrive at that? And we can go through that process,
No.
if you want. And just skip the concept of a memorandum of understanding
When you
and
expand the lot,
see what they say.
the pond. That's like some of the.
Yeah, I mean, I personally,
Carl.
this makes a lot of sense.
Carl,
Yeah, because that's part of it.
This three entities.
around the pond is our sidewalks, we
So
put
it
it.
certainly worth pursuing, other people have certain things that they want to carve out.
That's
Do it, I just don't want to give the false impression that these are the exact terms that we're gonna be okay with.
Is that the only
And
one
then
that's
some
been torn
changes, and
out?
then it's like, well, trying to be considerate of any.
But that's
kind of
cost.
thing they have.
It's
I
part
wanna make sure everybody's on the same page all at the same time, so we
So
all
none
three
of our paths.
move forward
So
as
it's put in
necessary.
the right. It's gonna be.
That makes sense to me. But
Barb, what,
perhaps I'm the output tonight.
Well, we put a sidewalk around the pond recently,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
not gonna
it-
be
and it's not gonna be
only
torn up.
only this curvy,
Only this side.
on the, yeah.
there's the south side.
Most of they should.
South,
And
Yeah.
who's gonna pay to have that?
Right, isn't that all
that's part of the.
part of
That's
the,
part of the
So it's
project.
included in the project, even though we've already put it in, and now you're gonna tear it out, we're gonna pay for it again.
We want.
Well,
But
that's
when
something
we
you can
have-
negotiate,
we
and say,
are
look,
talking
you know, we put that sidewalk in
Oh, this.
and we're tearing it out, but we're not tearing it out for us. We're tearing it out for you guys. So you guys pay for that. I mean, those are factors in the negotiation process.
But we need to know what those numbers are before we go to them and say, this is what we think is fair.
I'm sorry, I was not listening. On the sidewalk, that there is part of the replacement is part of this project.
But we're going to be paying for a part of, we're ripping out something we've already paid for, and then we're paying part to have.
But we didn't pay for that. Because the south side of that is part of Carl Trail Fields.
Okay. So they're not taking out any of the sidewalks that we paid for.
Correct.
Okay, there you go. That's fine. We've cleared that one up.
The other thought, as I look through here, is, the expansion design, which I don't know much about storm ponds, but it's our pond on our land. I'm not sure why the other two have to agree if we accomplish the size that is called for. Shouldn't we be the final say in the design of the pond?
I think we'll have input on the final design. It's not designed yet.
It says that it's unanimous, it has to be unanimous. The design of the pond has to be
Well,
unanimous.
I think part of that is because how you design it impacts the cost.
Mm.
And, he can make it really, really nice.
Well, Carl does have nice ponds out there, that's for sure.
So, I mean,
Well, again, that would be another point that I would say, it's our pond on our property. As long as it provides the volume that the Y needs, what difference does it make to them how it's designed?
they may have a standard that they.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm sure they want it to be consistent with everything else that is out there.
But this again is our property.
Right.
So it's not gonna, it's not consistent now, so. Just another item that I think could cause concern at some point in time.
So do we send them all this concerns and say, come back with a different type of agreement? We need to get some answers. Is that better?
Do we have?
Or just modify the agreement, put in what we want it to say and. Do that.
That's
I
fine.
mean, when does this need to be done? So.
Well, why can't design their building until they know that we're going to expand the pond?
Okay.
Yeah, if you're not
That's the whole-
being on, then
Yeah.
they've
They've
got
gotta
to
do
do
something.
something somewhere.
Got it.
So that doesn't mean that it's the park district's obligation to accommodate. them.
No, but is there a date by which the Y wanted to start construction?
In the spring.
Okay,
Mhm.
so, didn't that done?
No, they haven't designed this yet.
So the design's continuing on.
Correct.
Right, they need to know that they have detention and
They
where.
haven't designed it, they haven't
Yeah,
conducted.
Piggyback on us, that's one thing. If they have to go and create their own, that's another thing. And they said, well, there's a pond there anyway, so.
I thought they had some designs, already for the expansion.
There is,
There is.
yeah.
For the
They
expansion.
don't have construction drawings yet.
Right,
But they can't do it, they can't move forward.
right, they can't finalize the drawings and
They
everything.
can't, they don't want to spend the next X
No,
until they know if they have drainage.
But my job is to be concerned about the park district.
That's right.
I'm gonna keep trying to come back to the park district on something that we've talked about numerous times on what's gonna go there. And again, every single time it comes back to, we're gonna need some more of this. So
Small
that's
lives.
some more drainage.
Oh,
It's gonna be an issue, whatever goes there,
Attention,
everything,
right.
attention, yes.
Unless it's just all, okay, parkland, break space.
Correct.
Which is how they help.
And this is our opportunity to
To
get
do it. So
more
that's
than
it.
enough drainage at. Around 400,000 instead of 1.6.
Which is a fraction of what it would be able to.
And I don't think anybody's opposed to that. We just want to make sure that the details, the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be the person that comes, the Y says, well,
Sure.
we can't do it because our district didn't agree. So that's why I think it's important to get these answers. Do we have to approve this tonight? Can we get these answers to these questions?
You don't have to approve this.
That's why I said, should we table it, get the answers to the questions and inform them that we're not negative to the agreement, we just need to have further details, because it's like throwing mud against the wall, whatever sticks. That's not gonna work for us.
Yeah, and if they have the answers to it by our next meeting, we can vote on it then.
So the questions I wrote down are is there confirmed willingness to lower the maintenance threshold? Is there some more information on the math that was done on the asterisk of the fill material being utilized by the Y? Is there consideration for the parcel, the amount of parkland that is being utilized for this project? Is there?
I think those are the three items.
And I think that we should have final approval on the design of the pond.
Yes, because it's on our land.
Yeah. That would be the least of my concerns, because I feel that.
Well, it has to be unanimous.
It's
and
not
They
going to
talked
be
about
a-
that, so
Right.
we've got the veto power anyway.
I think the two, the
Standard.
fill dirt and the loss of parkland are almost one issue. So I mean, just some sort of consideration. So let's see the math on that, and then that is all, overall part of. That's part of the same, loss of land. So those two items can be combined. So some sort of consideration in there. If they can show us the math, why, Carl is getting that 13% and we were only getting 5%, justifying that.
So
Okay.
do we also, I mean, would you like this to be a development agreement brought back for approval with this information in it at the next meeting? As we're collecting the answers so that it's a binding agreement and has some teeth to it. So we can just be kind of final on it.
Legally.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, the idea here was to get these ideas and, get your concerns into something that they would be able to, that they would react. So that you can say, we need these other things and here are our talking points. Thanks for giving us this stuff. And then you can see what their reaction is to those, among them these things. And so from that, you can see if they say, well, let's, not do this thing at all, or yeah, we can work with those things and have these questions answered before we do a definitive agreement. So
When I brought this MOU, when I struck the language, there was a agreement that would be fine for this MOU. However, in the creation of a development agreement, there was concern that we would come back with a development agreement that has wildly different terms in it than what's included in this MOU. And I think the intent of the language in the MOU was to provide what the terms would be in a development agreement. So I just want to put that out there that it might be a problem if we're coming back and saying, well,
And that's probably the case, because if I recollect, with the Martin Center, we did an MOU but then when we got to the final agreement, we kept going round and round, and we were doing the thing with the Y. I mean, not the Y,
Boys
Boys and Girls Club. We had an MOU to begin with, but then we got to the final agreement, it was all over the place. And it took a long time.
I don't think the original intent of this document was to have a separate development agreement. Just to, I think it was drafted. I agree with you, Guy, that it's an MOU, so it's not binding, but I think the thought was, or at least from the Y and from Carl, was that this is the agreement, that there wasn't going to be a separate agreement.
In which case it is binding because it is gonna be the final agreement, then?
I think that's how they're viewing it.
Well, this is
In a court.
not enough content here for it to be a binding agreement. And the way I read it is that a memorandum of understanding is generally not a binding agreement. It's an outline of the terms that everybody agrees. These are our major issues that we want to have in place. So that's what it presented. What are your major issues? Okay, well, we may have some other things that are our major issues. And everybody transparency wise, everybody gets a look at those things and decides, are these things we can agree on? Or do we want to just say, let's not go any further here because we're never going to get agreement on whether you can even, for example, just the concept of touching the pond. We're not interested in letting you touch the pond to begin with. So let's not even bother going there. Or we have a requirement that it has to be such and such a size, or the park district wants to be reimbursed X number of dollars for just the value of the land. And that might be one of the criteria that the park district cares about, then the other side says, no, we're not gonna do those things. So, okay, you never get past that point with a memorandum of understanding. But if you're willing to go forward with it and you want to say, we're willing to do an agreement. We can, skip this and say, okay, let's do an agreement, but we need these things to be changed. And then run by them and see what their reaction is to those things. And if you don't ever agree, you never agree. And if you do, you do. So, the way this was framed was it had elements of both an actual agreement and here are our talking points. That was the major problem to begin with. And so it wasn't really workable as it is. But if you want to make an agreement for you to consider, that can be done. We can add these contingencies within a development agreement, and you can accept it or reject it. Or ask for further contingencies to be resolved. So, this is not something that I think you have to do tonight, but it gives them a framework if you're otherwise willing to do it to say, yeah, we can proceed and we can add those additional factors.
My only concern is if we approve it tonight without having all of our questions answered, they're gonna proceed on, the Y is gonna proceed, assuming it's a done deal. So, and I realize that that's their problem, not ours. But that would be the problem I would be most concerned about. So I see, let's get the questions answered and then we make an educated decision with our questions answered and we go forward.
Well, I agree, Barb. If you have items and you've obviously identified them that you have concerns about, then we go to them and say, well, these are things that the Park District Board wants to either know or have in this agreement. And, in whatever form it takes, whether we do a memorandum of understanding to trigger the why to go, okay, now we can go to our design professionals and so on, or we just want to go to a direct agreement. That gives them the guidance as to what is on the table for everyone. And you should certainly, I don't think they have an expectation that you're, gonna just say, okay, go ahead, and we're holding our breath and we're gonna come back with a half dozen things. Put them on the table now.
So I would move to table this agreement pending the outcome of answering those questions which we have discerned. And if we can get that by our next meeting, so be it.
Are you clear on the questions that are concerned? Okay. Maintenance threshold, fill, figuring,
Compensation.
compensation for loss of parking.
Tended to
And-
fill and compensation.
And the.
Design approval.
And the design, those four,
Those four.
okay.
And then what approval will we be seeking with those, if we get those answers, what approval will we be?
Then we can,
Seeking.
then we can move forward with the memorandum.
But again, I'm a little concerned. You think that's the final document they're gonna ask for, even though it's non-binding? So do you think they're not gonna move to a development agreement? So maybe that's another question. If we approve the MOU, what is the next step?
If we approve the MOU, then they'll go ahead and do their final design. Then they'll do the Y though.
But will there be no, if the memorandum of understanding is a non-binding document,
That's their problem. They're gonna dump a bunch of money.
they're
into
gonna
costs.
move forward
That's
with
not
a
my- that's not my
non-binding
concern.
document?
It's not my concern.
Well, you can tell them this is, we want, we want these questions answered, and we answer those questions. We get those answers from that. They say, we'll do a memorandum of understanding. They may come back and say, well, hold on. Maybe we should just skip the memorandum of understanding and do the agreement. Let's create the agreement then.
Well, so there's a total out because it says the MOU may be terminated by any party without cause upon 60 days written notice.
Right.
So you can tell them that if you get to, nobody can agree, you can just say, bye. You know, but the same goes for them too. They can say, hey, we're done dealing with you, we're gonna go.
And you'll have a similar provision, some kind of termination language in the body of a development.
Well, it'll probably say with cause. So.
Well, certainly there is, it's gonna be that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, would you all like to have a development agreement in front of you to review? Instead of an MOU at the next
That's
meeting?
much more detailed and
But it doesn't matter to us. This is a non-binding agreement. We don't need.
development agreement is binding.
Right. So that's a
I'd
question
rather
for
an
them,
MOU
not
which
us.
gives us an out than a binding agreement coming back. Because then,
Yeah, because the MOU, you definitely have an out.
I agree, but then what's the next step is not my question, it's theirs. And in my mind, do they want a development agreement or are they willing to move forward with an MOU?
Well, they'll answer that question.
we start out with an MOU, let's leave it where it is. And if they come back and say, here's all the answers to your questions and here's a development agreement, then we can look at it. That's fine by me.
But I thought they were the ones that created the
Correct.
MOU to begin with.
They created the MOU, let's just leave it at that. Answer these 3 questions and then we'll bring it back. 4 questions, I'm sorry.
So I
4
guess you
questions,
don't
we'll
ask
bring
them
it
the
back.
question as to whether or not they'll come back with a development agreement. That's what started this last part of the discussion, was you asking if we wanted a development agreement right away.
Well, right, because if we wanna be talking about something that is binding.
Right. But again, it doesn't matter to us. It should matter to them. This is their development, not ours. I mean, they need this.
I
not us.
think what they want an assurance of is that if you all decide to move forward, that with this non-binding MOU, that you won't come back with a development agreement and say, well, no, we're gonna only pay 5% of the share of this.
But that's what I don't want.
And drastically adjust the
It spells out.
Just the whole project in general, I think this does benefit us long term. So the immediate
course,
reaction is gonna be that, oh, there's this brand new line, the park district paid $300,000 for this. Yes, but do you know how much money we're saving in the long term by doing this? That is good use of taxpayer money,
absolutely.
in my view.
Right.
So I mean, I don't wanna get lost on the sheer immediacy of this project, where I think long term, that does affect us
Mhm.
extremely positively.
I totally agree.
I don't think we can
But
get lost.
what kind of document? We're just talking about what kind of document they want. And we don't know the answer to that.
Well, no, we do know, they want that.
They want the
This is
MOU.
what was presented,
So let's leave it at that.
But you asked the question, do we want
because
a
you, it
development
didn't sound
agreement?
like.
No,
No,
Not
we
up
want
front.
the answer.
So there's the answer to your question.
Perfect,
Okay,
thank you.
I
Sorry.
believe you had a motion
yes. The table it,
pending 4
Very good.
questions.
correct.
The answer to our second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Discussion items. Next up, lease termination, mini park heat detention basin.
Yes, so. Do you wanna lead this or do you want me to? Oh, a little, ways back, we had received a request from the city about, the desire to take back, we didn't know at the time, but to take back, I'm jumping ahead to the Hazel parcel, but to take back the parcel that is adjacent to Hazel Park, it's on Bradley and Neal. The city used to own it, we took it, we mow it, it's not anything usable. And the discussion that we had about it at the time was that we should, you know, instead of just giving it back, we should find something to trade. And so we are proposing to trade, to actually give them two things, but to trade the Mini Park 8, which is the detention basin on Elm and Eureka. It is adjacent to Spalding Park. It is a ditch or that at one point in the history of the Park District, we put a basketball court in.
Right.
It's a very steep slope and the concrete is terrible and
This is not the basketball court that's in Spalding Park along the.
No, across the tracks.
Across the tracks.
The north side of the track.
yeah, it's a detention
It
basin.
is a detention basin.
Yeah, it's the hoops that flood.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So we wanted to
You wanna think about that, yeah.
have discussion about it. We have given preliminary notice to the city. And then, but our license agreement with the detention basin provides that we would give 90 days notice. So we'll give formal notice to the city. And then on the Hazel parcel, we intend to give notice that they can have it back in April, just to align with our mowing contract, and then to give them some time to identify who's gonna take over on the mowing. So we will bring it,
Building a
oh, go ahead,
City building fire station across the street.
across the street,
To the
yes.
south on that corner.
Well, and at our next meeting, the city will actually be here coincidentally, to discuss that project as a whole, the Neal Street Corridor project. And we'll be requesting an easement within the park, but so that parcel will be a part of that as well too. So you hear a little bit more about it.
Any discussion on that? Questions?
Next meeting, we'll bring it back for approval.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we need an MOU.
You know, we're getting it back.
Is it gonna put you in the
Yeah.
This is all.
I don't know, that was too soon. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And then we have a number of policies on for discussion and review. Do you want to run through? Do you want me to run through?
Sure.
Do you want to run through?
Absolutely.
Great.
What you have before you in the packet is 8 additional policies. In addition to what you received earlier this year is the chunk for 2021 that is on the 5-year review schedule. We tried to just catch up with several of the grammatical changes that have happened in the course of the last 5 years to make it uniform throughout the entire manual. And then one policy in particular, the comprehensive year-round recreation policy, we rewrote entirely to make it more broadly apply to the mission of the Park District. You all gave several editorial comments and caught some things that we missed, so we very much appreciate your eye on those things and asked several other questions that hopefully were answered, but very basic rewrites on several of these. And if you have any other questions or comments, we're happy to entertain those for you too.
So those policies will be coming back when?
We will bring them back next meeting on the consent agenda. And if you have any other additional changes between now and then, we'd be happy to make those as well too.
So one of the comments I proposed was on the comments at a board meeting, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you had
And because
responded to the question.
you read all of that, which is information I would suggest considering putting that into this so that if somebody asks the park district for our policy for addressing the board, they would have all of that information, that it's a 3-minute limit and all the stuff you say.
Community.
The only thing I have to double check is that we have a conduct of business ordinance for the board that may include that information already. And I just would have to make sure that that's,
We not have it in both.
you could, it depends upon if, typically we don't have redundancies from ordinances to policies because ordinances overrule policies from what Attorney Hall has explained to me. So,
Well, ordinances overrule policies. I mean, if you're going to have the same language in two policies, you have to really be precise because you don't want to create confusion where it goes, well, if you look at that policy, it says this, if you look at this policy, which seems to be talking about the same topic, but it doesn't quite. Now, you end up in a little fight with yourself, essentially, and you don't want to do that.
Okay, we're talking about an ordinance and a policy.
An ordinance.
Diversity.
The ordinance is
Okay, so perhaps maybe we should look at the ordinance.
double check.
Sure, you can look at the ordinance and then create the policy from that. The policy would implement the terms of the ordinance. So.
But I'm guessing since he's reading that paragraph, that it's been written from something.
What he reads on the agenda,
Yes, before public notice. Yeah.
that's a creation of my mind.
Wow.
Right, me.
Now
If you don't like it, I'm not, but if you don't like it, it's something, you can certainly change it.
Let's have Jared look at it and see if it's already in an ordinance. If it is, then you could simply cut and paste, but it has to be exact.
Right, okay,
Yeah, we
thank
certainly
you.
modify that, and I won't feel offended.
And it's not, I just wish it would be with fewer words.
You're the first person to ever say that to me.
Yeah, I bet.
I understand that and respect that. I would say that something that you may care to take a look at is as we've created some of these things, we did look at other locations, including our neighboring city of Urbana, and they have some language that is much more robust than what we have. And we have looked at the communities in the suburbs of Chicago, which are less robust on that kind of topic. So just as an informational note, but I did draft that because we had I thought it was a useful thing some time ago, a couple of years ago, to create something that would help guide the audience in terms of, for example, a question like, well, the board doesn't, respond. Well,
I agree.
the board has an agenda to go forward with, and it's, you're not necessarily prepared to address those questions that are on, that the person who's come to the meeting and wants to talk about it has thought about it, but you're sitting in a reactive mode. And so how do you immediately react to those kind of things? So it was part instructional, I guess, in that sense.
Got it.
Gerald, clean it up for us. Next.
Other items, any questions on any of the policies? Okay. Then the board will convene into executive session under the Illinois Open Meetings Act, specifically 5 ILCS 122. Section 21 for the discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the act, whether for the purpose of approval by body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 206, section 5, the purchase or release of real property or for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, and section 1 for the discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel of the public. We need a motion, any roll call vote?
Second.
And roll call vote.
Commissioner Summers,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Rouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Commissioner Cool. Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Any comments from the commissioners?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I have heard from some residents that live by Mattis Park that find the new statue that we installed to be rather frightening for little children. And they hope in the future we consider installing statues that are a little more friendly looking or not as intimidating as that.
It is a temporary installation.
So I
No, no.
bring it to them.
Yes.
We have to go look at it.
My kids were trying to climb.
I have noticed the geese stay at the other end of the park.
Hey, maybe we found.
Even spinning it around.
Yeah.
It's just kind of severe and real.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on the CUSR parking lot and all of that since school starts tomorrow,
Yeah.
as you pointed out?
Right.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the front part, for the most part, is it's open. We opened it on the 7th for Unit 4 staff. This Monday, we opened it all the way through, so through traffic can come through. The loading zone up at the center can happen. You will see that there is a rock strip through that, and the intent of that is we still got to get the playground built in the back. So that's their access for concrete trucks, rock, that sort of thing. The last thing you wanted to do was drive over all that new pavement with heavy equipment and tear it up. So once that all gets in place, the playground starts the 24th-ish, another week or so. So once that kind of gets buttoned up, then they will come back and pave those sections.
What about the Four Seasons?
That is totally separate and will happen after they're gone. I did not,
We won't have to worry about people driving over the concrete.
oh, I see, I'm sorry. I don't think there will be that sort of equipment, you know, there will be some concrete needs, and there's alternate routes that we can get in there too. It was just gonna be so much rock and different things that. The alternate solution that I had proposed was down that tree line behind the tennis courts, and we would have had to remove at least one tree and limb some up, and it would have just been a longer path, so.
And are there fewer parking spots in the lot now than there were before? Because you've angled them differently than they were before.
In the Unit 4 lot? I think there's just.
There's a net positive.
Yeah,
Is there?
there's positive because we've added like 8 or
We
whatever.
closed off their exit, which then added parking
Okay.
spaces for them,
Okay.
and then staff and we will also have accessible parking spaces south of the Circle Drive as well.
Okay, and has a bus gone through there yet to see?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay, not till tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Okay.
None.
All right, we'll entertain a motion to
I
adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed?
Lighter up and down.
I'm sorry, but I'm excited. I want to go see a statue and